Coming up to down the Leipzig Loko, we look to keep a good patch of form going from October into the start of November, albeit with two tricky fixtures. First up, it's in the Bundesliga as we take on Bayern Munich, and then we take on Napoli in the Champions League. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 104 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well and coming up today, as I said, two tricky games to start the month of November away from home. First up, Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, albeit those guys have been a little up and down to start the domestic season. Off the back of that, we take on Napoli in the Champions League. So if you're looking forward to that as well as a recap of what we've been up to over the past month or so, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But in yesterday's episode, it was a little while ago, back in September, but we did take on Barcelona in the Champions League and then Schalke in the Bundesliga. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner. Off the back of that, we have played quite a few games to get to this interesting double that we have got coming up in today's episode. First up, we played a game in the Champions League 2 in the month of September at that stage against top of the table in the Premier League Southampton. And actually, despite the fact that we rotated our team quite a bit for this game, with some players being quite tired, coming into an international break not too long off the back of this game, we did pick up a 1-1 draw, which wasn't too bad at all. We actually grabbed the lead just after half-time through Tunde Musa, who started this game over Matthias Tel off the back of that injury that he picked up during yesterday's episode. But unfortunately, with around about 10 minutes left, there was a very long highlight which started with a penalty from a handball which Amadori did give away. Thankfully, San Jose came up with a big save on the penalty from Thiago Thomas, the former man that was causing us trouble at Stuttgart. But off the back of that, the highlight, it did continue. We got a decent chance down the other end, but then on the break, Nicolo Zaniolo, playing as a striker for Southampton, he grabbed a goal and they did grab a point from that home game. But as I said, to be fair at that stage, away from home against the team who were top of the Premier League, I promise, that is not a joke, even though it could be one. That is not a bad point at all off the back of that prior loss, which we did suffer against Barcelona. So that wasn't too bad of a result before we did play our last game in the Bundesliga prior to the international break. This one against Bayer Leverkusen, who are back up from the 2 Bundesliga, and thankfully they are not very good at all. In this save, we picked up a very comfortable 5-0 win, albeit it did take us until the second half to get on the score sheet, but Jan Horvath got us really kicking into gear with a nice goal just after the break, and from there, the floodgates did open up. Nicolo Amadori picked up a hat-trick, helped out by a penalty to get things rolling on the hour mark, and then late on, Bilardi off of the bench also picked up a goal, so thankfully that was a very impressive performance. 3 more points in the Bundesliga off the back of that topsy-turvy draw that we did have against Schalke in yesterday's episode. And off the back of that and the international break, we've played 3 more games. 2 of those were in the Bundesliga, and quite comfortable wins here as well. Away from home over Gladbach at that stage, they were just outside of the top 4, so that was quite a good result this time. 2 first-half goals to Nicolo Amadori, and he picked up 2 more a week later when we picked up a 3-0 win at home over Fortuna Dusseldorf. He picked up goals late off the back of the Zoran picking one up just past the hour mark. So in some of these games, it's taking us a little while to put the ball in the back of the net, but thankfully we are scoring goals. So our form in the Bundesliga off the back of yesterday's episode has been quite good. And also, we played the second round of the DFB Pokal against Bochum. As you can see, put out a full rotation for that game, but thankfully did still get the job done thanks to a first half goal for Tunde Musa. So it does mean we are through to the 3rd round of that competition. A little bit of a tough draw for us in that next round, which is all the way at the start of January. We take on Freiburg, those guys doing a decent job currently in the Bundesliga, albeit we did beat them early this season. Actually, not doing a decent job. They're all the way down in 16th, just got my mind there on their previous positions that they've been finishing in the league, but this season those guys are struggling. So actually, that's not too bad of a draw. Those guys actually not too far above Bochum. So hopefully we can make our way through one step further in the DFB Pokal, especially because the board actually expects us to make the quarterfinals of that competition. So I can't quite bin it off as much as I'm hoping to, with more money being available in the Bundesliga and also in the Champions League. But We got past Bochum with that fully rotated team, which hopefully means all of our first choice players will be fresh for this doubleheader coming up in today's episode. But that does mean in the Bundesliga, going to this big clash, we do take on a Bayern team who so far this season have been just a little bit up and down. We are trying to keep pace with Borussia Dortmund on top of the table, just 1 point behind them. If we win this game, albeit away from home, that might be a little bit tough. But so far, just that one draw with Schalke and that one loss away at Wolfsburg. But otherwise, 7 wins from 9. And as I said, a win here will get us to 1 point behind Dortmund. Also, would be quite good to try and keep Bayern Munich out of the title race early. So maybe the gap they have to close up is going to be a little bit too much for them, albeit no doubt, like the big teams tend to do in Football Manager, they might come storming home in the second half of the season. But as you can see, Bayern Munich, not off to the best of starts. They've so far lost 3 of their 9 games to Eintracht Frankfurt, Hoffenheim, and also convincingly to Borussia Dortmund, albeit all 3 of those losses were away from home today. We take them on in front of their home fans at the Stadion München. It's still a pretty good Bayern Munich team too on that right-hand side. Quite a few of their players are still in the best 11 for the Bundesliga, but for some reason, they've just been a little bit hit and miss to start the season, albeit starting to pick up their form just a little bit more in the last 5 games, draws against Wolfsburg and Athletic Bilbao, and off the back of that, wins over Mainz as well as someone in the second round of the DFB Pokal. But hopefully, we can maybe pick up some points from this game and keep them just a little bit behind us in Dortmund, who currently are in a little bit of a mini title fight early stage of the season. Also, Eintracht Frankfurt only 1 point behind us, also with a game in hand, arguably. They are also in the title race, albeit we picked up a win against those guys earlier in the season. So I think we're a better team than Eintracht Frankfurt. Hopefully, we can get a bit of a gap on these guys in today's episode and pick up some points here against Bayern Munich. Unfortunately, we did suffer an injury in amongst of those recent games, though, and it is to our new central attacking midfielder, and Nico Benito. He is out with an abdominal strain. To be fair, not too far away from coming back, should be available whenever we come back for tomorrow's episode, but still out for 6 days to 2 weeks, which does mean he will miss both games in today's episode and probably a couple off the back of that as well. So it does mean that Zoran will get a run in that cam role. And also, we're actually training Zvetko Kuseta as a cam at the moment, just because he's more likely to get some game time there and can fill that position, while we've got Vladi as the backup striker. Also, Blomé, too many yellow cards being a ball-wing midfielder, so he is unavailable for this game in the Bundesliga, but it does mean he should be very fit for that game against Napoli in the Champions League. So those injuries and suspensions do mean a couple of changes to our team going into today's episode. Manuel in the ball-wing midfield role, obviously. That means Vochin plays the backup on the bench and Horvath at right back. Also, obviously, Zoran in the cam role, as well as that Spaljaka Musa on the wings, because both Tauler and Tezak are a little bit injury prone going into this game, obviously with the Champions League coming up shortly off the back of that. We do want to keep them fresh for that one, because actually at the moment, we're a little bit further down the Champions League table than I was hoping for, even though we're not doing too badly considering the opposition that we have faced. And that is going to be a tricky game away from home against a team like Napoli. But here are Bayern Munich. They are going with a 4-2-3-1. It does look like a very strong team with the likes of Ravella. They've got Musiala out left and also Aliyewahi up front, a player very familiar with, as we have Montpellier in the Anzac Challenge. We'll get action underway here so far. Bayern have done the only thing in this game going past the 10-minute mark, albeit eventually we do get a shot off Ravella. He picks up a yellow card, but hopefully we can do well enough to maybe pick up a point from this game. That wouldn't be too bad at all, albeit coming up to the 20-minute mark, and Andrew Pittman does pick up a yellow card. Not ideal. That might mean De Jong makes an appearance in the second half, but so far this has been a pretty even game, albeit XG does suggest Bayern Munich are getting the better chances in the first half of this one. But overall stats, apart from that, are quite even. Possession as well, just slightly on top of them, albeit now they get a few more shots off late in this first half. But it looks like not much is going to be doing in the first half, albeit as I say that, there is a throw into the home team in the all red, wearing our traditional home uniform, the yellow with the blue shorts. Good tackle there from Manuel, but unfortunately we can't quite keep the ball now. Abada starts the cut and field, plays one over the top there for Musiala. Aliyewahi will scoop that one home into the bottom right corner. The assistance flag hasn't gone up. The Bayern manager is giving it something big time there, but I'm pretty sure he was just a straight offside there, was Aliyewahi, and thankfully that is correct. So that goal will not count, so a bit of a nothing highlight to end the first half. Musiala heads this one down, and Wahi isn't too far offside, but he is, and that was it for the first half. It's a pretty quiet one, both teams not getting off that many shots, but to be fair, we'll take that away from home against a team like Bayern Munich. As I said before, a point from this game wouldn't be too bad. We'll take off Pittman on that yellow card for De Jong, and also Horvath for Sika, as he is only on a 6.4, so we're going to change both our wingbacks here at half time, and hopefully that might just help us do a bit more going forward. Our fullbacks can be quite useful for us in attack, especially up right. Horvath coming on in place of Sika, and early stages in the second half, there is a highlight. We clear our lines, but it is Bayern now who are on the ball. De Ligt plays that across for Amalo, and now Oriaguila on a yellow card starts to make his way forward down that right-hand side. Abada just holds up play here, starts to cut inside. Will unleash a shot, looking to curl that one into the top left corner, but thankfully it goes high and wide, and it is still 0-0, but Bayern are now starting to get on top in this game, and it's a bit more apparent from all of the stats. Another highlight here at the 53-minute mark so far. Bit of aerial ping-pong. Unfortunately, we can't quite keep the ball. Spalyak nearly wins that one back, but unfortunately, loose touch, and Bayern are back on the ball. Odegaard makes his way inside the box. He'll scoop that one into the top left corner. A little bit of help from the post, but it finds the back of the net, and Bayern got off to a good start in the second half, and unfortunately, off the back of nearly winning that ball back, we can't quite keep it there through Spalyak. Oriaguila just gets in behind our defence there a little bit. I presume that's Pesuguelo on that left-hand side, and he just gets a little bit of help from the inside of the post and puts that one away, and we go 1-0 down early in the second half, and only a few minutes later, it's a free kick for Bayern, albeit they are inside their own half, albeit not for long. Musa wins that one in the air, but gives it straight back to Bayern, and Ali Wahi gets in behind, and I think this time he was onside, so a quick fire double for Bayern Munich only 10 minutes into the second half. We'll just wait to make sure that VAR does confirm the goal. They do, and Ali Wahi pops up with his 8th goal of the season. Abada heads that one back to Kimmich, and Wahi yet again gets in behind Pesuguelo on that left-hand side of our defence to make it 2-0. Off the back of that, we'll just check on some players, and quite a few of them are down to red hearts. We'll take them off. Musa can come off Patel. Also, Tezak will come on for Spalyak, and Bandok will come on for Escobar, just making sure everyone's nice and fresh, hopefully, for that second game of today's episode. But unfortunately, bit of a poor patch for us there, just off the back of halftime, and it does mean we are 2-0 down, albeit in terms of overall stats, Bayern aren't dominating us too much, and in terms of position, it's actually quite an even game, but unfortunately, quite a few battles at that stage in those couple of minutes where they scored those goals that we were not able to win. We'll just update some stuff here with 20 minutes left. We'll go a bit wider in attack, go attacking, and also put both our right winger and our left back on attack to hopefully try and find a way back into this game. Also, we'll get Horvath to ease off tackles. Don't want any silly red cards from a game like this, especially if we're not going to be able to threaten to pick up a win. We'll demand more, and hopefully that might get these guys going a bit better. But to be fair, most players in our defence today have struggled. Lots of 6.4 or lower ratings, and also a couple of yellow cards late in this game. We're going to chuck Manuel on support, but unfortunately, I think it'll be a case of too little too late. We'll try and fire them up late, but a game of not many highlights. All of them did fall in favour of Bayern Munich, and they pick up a 2-0 win thanks to those goals that they did score just after half-time. So unfortunately, it's another defeat for us away from home. That seems to be the theme for us this season, as well as Bayern Munich. All of our losses are coming in away games, apart from, of course, that one against Barcelona in the Champions League. But at least in terms of domestic football, we are just struggling a little bit against these top teams when we are away from home, but thankfully are getting the job done back at the Bruno Park Stadium. It does mean for now we stay in second spot, but as you can see, Bayern have closed the gap on us now to only 3 points. Still a fair way behind Dortmund, but Bayern, that might be the result that gets them charging back up the Bundesliga table. So unfortunately, can't quite keep pace with Dortmund. We lose to Bayern Munich 2-0 away from home. Hopefully, we come back shortly and can do a better job at Napoli in the Champions League. So a disappointing result there first up in today's episode. Not a bad performance, but unfortunately Bayern Munich just killed us there with 2 goals off back of halftime, and adding to that, Eintracht Frankfurt the following day, they pick up a 4-1 win at Hertha Berlin. So it does mean we are now in third on the Bundesliga table, albeit we are still 7 points clear of RB Leipzig. and that's kind of the aim of the save. So I suppose we're kind of winning at this stage, 7 points clear of RB Leipzig. Hopefully we can finally finish above them in the Bundesliga this season after coming quite close last season where they were third and we were fourth. But now it's time for us to focus on the Champions League, having a look at how things stand in that competition. We are down the table quite a bit. We're having picked up a win, a draw, and a loss in our 3 games so far. Only 1 point clear of those teams who are sitting on the edge and just outside of that top 24. So picking up some points from this game away at Napoli, who are in a pretty similar spot so far. They've just picked up the 1 win over Ajax, but they've lost to Real Madrid and to Southampton. That one was at home, so our away draw against those guys does suggest this is a game that potentially we could pick up some points from, albeit away from home, and these guys are doing a pretty good job over in Serie A. They are in second, albeit with us in third on the Bundesliga table. I suppose it's a clash between 2 teams doing pretty similar jobs domestically, but hopefully we can pick up a decent result here off the back of that disappointment against Bayern Munich. Also been a little while since we've picked up 4 points now in the Champions League since that opening fixture against Legia Warsaw. They've got a decent team there by the looks of it. Do Napoli some good players, including Thiago Guedes, the former Borussia Dortmund man. That's one player that we are quite familiar with, but hopefully our guys can bounce back from that defeat to Bayern and we can pick up some points here to keep ourselves inside that top 24 in the Champions League. And those players who weren't injured but set out that game against Bayern Munich do make their way back into the starting 11 for this one. So that is Tezak, Matthias Tell, and also Justin Blomé. They are back in the team. So considering injuries, just Zoran coming in for Nico Benitez, that is a pretty good team that we are putting out. So hopefully we might find a way to pick up some points here away from home. But Napoli, certainly not an easy task. We've got some tough games this season in the Champions League, but hopefully we can just do enough to get our way through to that top 24 and hopefully from there maybe try and do something similar to what we did in the Europa League last season, where we did make our way through to the semi-finals. But there are Napoli. They are also going with that 4-2-3-1, and there you can see that team quite similar to what it was before on the club info page, albeit they've got Valaj Kalia out on the left wing, which was not on that team sheet before, so that is another very good player they do still have there at Napoli, but early stages yet again. They are the team who are on the front foot. Of course, they on that top left corner will be Parthenope, whatever that name was, when FM did come out this season due to licensing issues, but in game they are definitely Napoli. But halfway through this first half, so far not much doing apart from the traditional yellow card to Justin Blomé, but we do get the first highlight in this game, a free kick in our favour. But unfortunately, trying to look for someone down that right hand side, we do give the ball away, albeit Pittman will try to get it back for us, albeit Guedes did nearly get them on the counter-attack there, Napoli, but thankfully we win that one back. Now Escobar will pick out Tezak in a bit of space down this right-hand side. Sika starts to cut inside, actually unleashes a bit of a looping shot looking for that top left corner, but unfortunately it just goes over the bar. So the first highlight is in our favour as now Osvaldo picks up a yellow card, but unfortunately it is still 0-0. And another highlight here, which might be in our favour, bit of a fortunate deflection there off of Raspadori though, and Napoli with a chance here to do something on the counter-attack. Osvaldo gets a foot on that, but it does fall to the Georgian winger. He'll play that one back in behind. Escobar kind of gets in the way, but fortunately for Napoli, it does fall back to Sahin, and they now look to build from the back again here as they start to make their way deeper into our half. Good short passing, and Thiago Guedes does get in behind. It's a little bit unfortunate, kind of like the goals that we conceded against Bayern Munich, just not quite finding a way to keep hold of the ball. And Thiago Guedes, our old adversary from Borussia Dortmund, will put this one away. Good short passing down that right-hand side, kind of looks like prime Barcelona. And yet again, with a bit of help from the post, it finds its way into the back of the net. And this could be a tough episode for us, already 1-0 down in the first half of this one. Hopefully, we might find a way to grab a goal back before halftime, but already a couple of players out there are struggling on yellow cards and on poor ratings. 2 minutes of added time, and there is a late highlight here, a free kick on the halfway line. We take it short. Hurtado plays that one to Escobar. Now Amadori with back to goal up to Matthias Sika gets in behind down that right-hand side. Lafont gets a good hand on that one, but can't keep it from the top left corner, and thankfully we do grab an equaliser just before halftime. Hopefully that's a goal that can spur us on in the second half. But Escobar there played it forward to Amadori. Matthias finds Sika yet again, having had that shot earlier in the game. Lafont looks like he tries to parry that one over the crossbar, but unfortunately for him, it just deflects and finds its way into that top left corner. And despite the fact we were on the back foot for most of that first half, even though Napoli didn't get that many shots off. We grab a late equaliser and make it 1-0. Just before the break, we'll take off those players on yellow cards. And Manuel in the ball wing midfield role and Billy Camillo can come on for Osvaldo. We'll tell the guys that we're actually not doing too bad in this game, having just got that goal back to level things up. So hopefully that might encourage them a little bit and we can kick on and maybe pick up some points from this game. Again, a draw from this one wouldn't be too bad. In the Champions League away from home now, thrown down that far side, D'Agostino on a yellow card gets a second one and they are now down to 10 men very early in the second half. So some big turning points here either side of half time. That goal to Sika and 2 yellow cards to D'Agostino. And now a big chance for us to go in and pick up 3 points from this game, which would be quite big. Amadori played in behind there from Pittman. He puts that one away. Yet again, it takes a big deflection off the flank, but finds its way into the back of net. Just going to wait here for the VAR check, but thankfully he was just onside. And big moments here, either side of halftime, and we do take a 2-1 lead. Amadori there must have just been in line with the defence, but it's a very well-timed run and a good pass over the top from Pittman, who gets that ball back from Zoran from the front. As you can see, that far centre-back, might even be the left-back, is playing him onside, so Amadori does get on the score sheet. It does mean now that Napoli are just playing a 4-2-3, no central attacking midfielder, so it's kind of what we do when we go down to 10 men. And now Amadori back on the ball only a couple of minutes later, but a chance for us here to hopefully try and seal this game with Napoli down to 10 men. This would be 3 big points away from home, so hopefully we can make the most of this chance. Tezak does get in behind, but unfortunately that shot goes straight into the path of the font, so it is still 2-1 as we just make our way past the hour mark. And just checking on player fitness, Escobar yet again is down to a red heart, so Bundok will come on for him. There will be a sub that we do make just past the hour mark, still got 2 left, and I think 2 stoppages as well. We can just slow things down if we need to late in this game, but hopefully with that extra man we can grab another goal and grab a cushion to make sure we pick up 3 points from this one. I'm starting to make our way towards the last 15 minutes, and we might take off both wing backs as they are on red heart. So watching at right back and De Jong will come on at left back. There'll be all our subs used, and we'll just see if we can grab that cushion goal before we might have to start time waste here to make sure that we do pick up all 3 points. And now we're inside the last 10 minutes. I think it is time for us to start doing the time wasty things, be more disciplined, and also we'll slow the pace down with the goalkeeper distribution. And as we do that, a highlight does start. Matthias Tell helps us get that ball back down the left-hand side. Hurtado plays that one back to Camillo across the face of goal. Now Bundok, that ball was a bit weak. Napoli, though, do have to play it behind him, thankfully. Amadori with some good work there to win that ball back for us. Now Vochin starts to make his way inside. Just on the edge of the box, he does take a shot. It is blocked by a Napoli defender. Now Tezak starts to cut inside. Does the right winger, who can also play as striker, but unfortunately his shot does just go over the bar. So a bit of a nothing highlight here. It is still 2-1, but thankfully we are still in front, and hopefully that remains that way inside the last couple of minutes. And now a late highlight here in our favour. Nicolo Amadori with a corner header. It comes off the post. I think Manuel had got involved in that somehow, and Amadori will bundle that one over the line. It's the first time today we've actually had a set piece, and obviously Amadori is quite lethal from those. It didn't come directly from it, but it does lead to a goal. Amadori with his second of the game. He stepped up nicely in the second half. Manuel might pick up the assist for that, even though it hit him square in the butt. But that's the cushion goal that we were looking for in the end. It looks like quite a comfortable win, even though we went down 1-0 early. Obviously, that late goal in the first half to Sika and also that early red card in the second half was a big difference maker, and also Amadori stepped up a lot more off the back of that red card. And in the end, we pick up a 3-1 win away at Napoli, which is certainly a very, very good result. As I said earlier, would have taken a point from that game, but obviously with them going down to 10 men, 3 points from that game is quite nice. It should shoot us nicely as well up that Champions League table to make sure we're a bit safer inside of that top 24. Still a couple of tricky games to come up in this competition in the second half of the league phase. There you can see we now go up to 14th. If we drop points in that game, we'd be in a bit of a precarious spot, as you can see from where Napoli are. But that is a good win, even though Napoli did go down to 10 men. Also strangely to see Dortmund, currently all the way down in 27th, but thankfully we are in a better position here at Lokomotive Leipzig, going up to 14th off the back of a 3-1 win at Napoli. So a big bounce back win there in that second game of today's episode off the back of that first loss against Bayern Munich. Thankfully we bounced back nicely, even though it was helped by that early second half red card to Da Agostino. Also Amadori stepping up nicely with that double off the back of that late first half equaliser to Sika, so it does mean now in a decent spot in the Champions League. Hopefully we can pick up enough points from the second part of the league phase of that to make sure that we are in the knockouts of that competition. Also can pick up some more points in the Bundesliga off the back of that loss to Bayern first up in today's episode, because we're not too far off Dortmund. It's only 4 points to them on top of the table, and Eintracht Frankfurt also well within touching distance. If we pick up a good result and they don't, we could jump above them back into second spot on the Bundesliga table. So things still going quite well for us here at Lokomotive Leipzig, despite that first up loss in today's episode to Bayern Munich. Certainly helped out our Champions League chances with that 3-1 win over Napoli. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. I think we'll come back for the next episode in December, as I said a few times late last week and also earlier this week. I'll try to get the series wrapped up in 2 weeks like we did for the first couple, to make sure we can get another season in before we start on the FM24 beta. So we are going to skip over what would probably be an interesting episode, RB Leipzig and then Bournemouth in the Bundesliga and the Champions League, but I think we'll come back in early December because we could be taking on the team on top of the Bundesliga and Borussia Dortmund. That one at home too. So far our struggles, as I said, have been away from home in the Bundesliga, so hopefully we can pick up points there against Borussia Dortmund like we have done before when we've taken those guys on domestically. And off the back of that, a game which does look like of our games left in the Champions League like the most winnable. It is at home as well. It is Basel. That is a game we should be winning. If we can also pick up points away at Bournemouth, we could find ourselves in a pretty good spot before taking on Real Madrid and Juventus in January in that competition. So we'll come back tomorrow, update you guys on the Bundesliga before we take on potentially top of the table Dortmund, and also we'll take on Basel in the Champions League. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, left through the sadness. Don't know